Hi, today we're going to build a sortable list that works with a dynamic variable and updates the data in a variable in real time. For example, if I'm going to drag Joe now on top of the array will update to include Joe as the first item. If I'm going to drag Yassine on top now, Yassine is the first item. And if I mix Elvis and Nelson, this is mixed up here as well. So based on how I'm going to drag those DOM elements in here, it is updating the variable which will contain the array, and this can update the database and so on. The possibilities for this are endless. And if you're going to build any sort of drag and drop builder or drag and drop configurator for your web app, this is a really super handy thing. Maybe even a Kanban system or something like this. Super handy. So let's get right started how we're going to do this. First of all, in Webflow, how we're going to have that set up is we just have the list with the attribute, with the ID of list. This is very important. We will use this for our code. And then we have the list item with the ID of list item. And we also have the Wized attribute of list item applied to that because we're going to render this as a list, because you can see in Wized we have more than just one, and this list is rendered dynamically. As every list we're going to render dynamically, we need to apply a list item name attribute so that we can update the name in Wized so to show the dynamic content from each iteration. And then we just have like a nice icon so it looks more user-friendly when they drag and drop around. And then we just have the array preview, which is just for illustration purposes in this example. So yeah, let's update that. And as you can see, if I were to reload that, this list will be rendered. So now let's actually set the test array. Because if I wouldn't set this test array, for example, like this, we will just have nothing in here, right? Because the list cannot get rendered from anything. So we need to provide the initial data for this list, which can come from your database. In this case, it just comes from a static text we're going to input in this. But you can just use your database data if you want to do that. Okay, perfect. So let's refresh the canvas and let's look into the list item. So the list item will just render a list from this array right here, and we're going to use the iterator. There are enough videos how to render a list. I would highly suggest to look into the Wized YouTube channel to, if you want some more information on that, to look into how to render a list. Perfect. And yeah, let's go to the list item name. So of course we just have to take the variable for the list, apply the iterator on that, and then we're going to get the dynamic value for each list item. Anoy, Yassine, Joe, Nelson, and Elvis. Perfect. And then we just have this little test thing so that we can see how the data updates for this video to make it easier to understand. Perfect. And yeah, the myList variable is just an empty variable with nothing in there, but it is computed because we're going to move data at a rapid pace, so we need to have it computed. Perfect. And now let's go into the jQuery fun here, into the code. So for this list, we have this custom code. And this is just a normal sortable JS code with the difference that we're going in this part. Actually, it's in this part. Sorry. In this part, we're going to rearrange the array, and we're going to set the new rearranged array in here as the new array in Wized using Wized JavaScript API, which we're going to load in here using the push method. And yeah, this is just like the addition we added in here. And then we're just going to update the list DOM, and we're going to run a function in here because, as you can see, we're having a dynamic rendered list in here. This is now Yassine, this is Nelson. The issue we're having that is that if I drag Yassine over Nelson, the dynamic rendered list still, think of it like this, is tied to the text elements before. So what we wanted to do is we want to update the items so that Elvis is here and doesn't say Nelson. so that the list items get attached to the new order of the list, if that makes sense. Because what's going on in here is if I were to put in X-ray mode, you see, this is now the template item. If I were to drag this in here and activate it again, now the template item is down here. And if I were to put the template item in the middle, now the template item is in the middle, and now it is on top. So since this template item is moving, since the items are moving all randomly, we have to do some jQuery to make sure that everything is getting propagated properly. And this is what we're going to do in here. You don't have to understand how to do advanced jQuery. The only thing you need to be aware of is that if you have anything with dynamic content, static content doesn't matter at all. But if you have anything that has a Wized attribute applied to it, you need to consider this attribute in the jQuery. So let's say we were to have, for example, we were to have another item. We would copy just simply this line. Let's say we have another text, maybe with the last name. What we would do is we would keep everything the same, and we would just update the Wized attribute in here, for example, last name, so that we are reinitializing the text for the Wized attribute on last name so that it can get the data dynamically again from our action that will render the list and that will set the name in here. Perfect. So this is just the jQuery we have to do to make sure that this is propagated ideally and that there are no issues with that. And this is already the end of the code. This was all the magic we were doing to do a sortable JS list in Wized. And yeah, this is super simple. And yeah, the clonable will be up already on Wized Webflow. Feel free to copy the Wized project. Feel free to copy the Webflow project. And yeah, if you have any other questions about how to implement this or need any help, please feel free to put your questions and comments in the comment section down here. And yeah, I am excited to see you next time. And also let me know if you have any ideas for other videos or any wishes. I'm always happy to do exciting stuff that helps you out. Thank you so much for all your support. This really means the world to me. And yeah, see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.